Hi there, and welcome to this video tutorial for Down in the Valley. Beautiful lullaby, and also our first waltz that we're going to tackle. Before we talk about all of that though, let's just review what chords you need. We've got a new chord we're adding to the mix here, that G7 chord. So I'm going to zoom you in and we're going to take a look at that. So for this song, you're going to need the C chord. We love the C chord, ring finger on the 3rd fret of the A string, as well as the G7 chord. Now this one's a little bit more gnarly. When I move from C to G7, I'm going to take that ring finger from the 3rd fret, slide it to the 2nd fret, leave it right there on the A string. I'm going to put my pointer finger on the 1st fret of the E string and then reach my middle finger over to the 2nd fret of the C string. So it should sound like this. And you're kind of making a triangle shape with your fingers here. When I go from G7 back to C, I'm just going to lift these two fingers and slide, the pointer and the middle finger specifically, and then slide that ring finger back to the 3rd fret of the A string. Now notice when I've gone back to the C, I'm holding my pointer and my middle finger kind of hovered just above, relaxed, nothing tense or anything, but they're just kind of waiting for their move. So when I switch back to G7, I slide the ring finger and I add the pointer in the middle to the E and the C strings respectively. And then they're right where they need to be to come down. So feel free to go back and forth between those two as many times as you need to before we keep going. All right, and once you feel good about moving back and forth between C and G7, let's talk a little bit about the strumming. As I mentioned, this is a waltz, and so we're going to be counting in groups of 3 instead of 4. And instead of strumming on every beat, we're just going to strum on the first beat. It's going to go a little bit more quickly, so we don't want to strum quite so much. It'll sound a little bit like this. Starting on my C chord, 1, 2, 3, here we go. Strum, 2, 3, strum, 2, 3. Just on C to warm up here. 2, 3, strum, 2, 3, strum, 2, 3, 3, 1, 2, 3. Just like that. So the chords you see on your chord chart are actually going to be just one strum held out for 3 beats. And then from there we can take a look at the pattern of those. What you'll notice is that from the very beginning, that first line, we've got 4 C's followed by 2 G7s like this. Ready, set, go, strum, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, then G7, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. That'll be the first line. The next line, we swap it. So we stay on G7 for 4 this time, and then we switch back to C for 2. Ready, set, go. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4. Back to C, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. And it continues in that pattern, going back and forth throughout the entire song. So you'll want to just take a moment and make sure you're, again, familiar with that C and G7 back and forth, and then also kind of get a feel for the tune, for the chord progression before we add in the tune, which is what I'm going to do right now. Here we go. Let's try that pattern again. Those 2 patterns fit together, and then I'll add the words. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, ready, set, go. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4. Switch to G7, 4, 2. Now next line, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4. Switch to C. Let's add the words. Here we go. Down in the valley, valley switch so low. Hang your head over, hear the switch wind blow. Just like that. Keep it going. Hear the wind blow, dear. Hear the wind blow. Hang your head over. Hear the wind blow. Pause right there for a second. So that's just the first verse. And you may have noticed that we played along. There are a couple cues that you can follow to help you remember when to change those chords. Because if you're like me, I have a hard time singing the lyrics and counting to 4 in my head at the same time. I can do it, but I'd rather just sit back and enjoy the song, right? So what I usually do is I'm listening out on the melody a little bit for any chance that it might, or any clue that it might give me that things are going to change a little bit. When I get to, when I sing the first line, down in the valley so low, when I hit that note, that really doesn't fit with the C chord, so I know I want to switch to the G7, right? So I can almost hear that that melody is going to a different place than I've been playing. That's kind of my first clue. If that feels, though, a little bit like, I don't even know the song, how am I supposed to hear where the melody's going? The other thing I often remember is that chord changes come at the end of a line. You notice that when we get to valley so low, that's the last word of the line, the last kind of long note. And the same thing happens in the next line when I'm on G7. Hang your head over, hear the wind blow. And again, the last note of the line, that last word, we're holding it out, and that's where the chord change comes. So you can listen out to the melody, you can listen to the lyrics. You may also notice that the last word of each line rhymes, that kind of O sound at the end. That as you get to know the song better, you'll know that that's coming as well. And these are all clues that can help you really feel that chord change rather than feeling you have to count it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. That doesn't always feel so natural and so musical. So try listening for those other things. This is a great place in the video to take a little break, kind of review what we just did. Again, go over the chords or go through your chord chart, think about the pattern. But what we're going to do next is play through the whole song from start to finish, so you get a feel for what it sounds like all the way through. If you are ready for that, then here we go. All right, I'm going to start with just a couple C's to get me started in my rhythm, and then we're going to dive right in, starting on C. 1, 2, 3, ready, set, go. 1, 2, 3, strum, 2, 3, strum. Here we go. Down in the valley so low. There's your first switch. Hang your head over. Here comes the next one. Hear the wind blow. Keep that pattern going. Hear the wind blow, dear. Hear the wind blow. Hang your head over. Hear the wind blow. Straight to verse 2. Roses love sunshine, violets love dew. Angels in heaven know I love you. Know I love you, dear. Know I love you. Angels in heaven know I love you. Let's try the first verse again. Down in the valley so low. Hang your head over. Hear the wind blow. Hear the wind blow, dear. Hear the wind blow. Hang your head over. Hear the wind blow. And right there. Nice job. Such a pleasant little lullaby. So as always with all of these videos, feel free to use whatever part of it is useful to you. And also feel free to practice without the video sometimes, because that's going to be a really good test of kind of where the song is on the inside, right? And how much you can play it just from what you know of it on the inside as well. Enjoy your practice, and I will see you in the next video.